Stage 1, first Omen. The blackout is extended to 4 hours. Today's shipment is circled delayed in red. That blank date in the ledger becomes your first small clue that things are breaking down. A rumor about rationing pins itself to the notice board. You write it down, careful to separate hearsay from fact. You conserve power by darkening alternate aisles, hoping the lights will outlast the outage. The supply closet looks hollowed out, batteries and candles dwindling to the barest reserve. You close the archive early and post a sign, an attempt to preserve what little stability remains. By candlelight, your ration list shrinks, essentials crossed off, the radio reduced to fragments of alerts. A handwritten note on a banknote shows currency bending to barter, money losing its agreed meaning. You log the day's anomalies: extended blackout, a blank shipment date, and the first persistent whispers of rationing.
We must pool resources now.
Stage 2, circles of whisper. A neighbor offers rice for batteries. You record the first barter transaction in the ledger. You create a ledger section for trades, trust beginning to quantify value where currency no longer holds. You mediate a dispute using a hand-drawn equivalence chart, nudging the community toward shared rules of exchange. Signal maps grow darker. You mark expanding dead zones and adjust expectations for outside help. The barter list shifts every day, an index of scarcity rewritten in pencil. Neighbors sketch plans for a distribution network. You volunteer to be the record keeper. You prioritize what to safeguard and what might serve the community in trade, cataloging each decision. You map trust. Who can deliver? Who can be relied on? Turning relationships into data. As the light dwindles, the ledger feels less like paper and more like the community's fragile memory. A whispered warning arrives on paper. You log it as unverified, holding space between rumor and record. Rumors accumulate on the board, each scrap a small pulse of collective fear. You settle a dispute by pointing to precedent in the ledger, anchoring decisions in recorded practice. The group argues over rules and enforcement. You document the proposals so debate becomes traceable. Stage 3, ledger of decisions. You weigh a preserved document against medicine, the ledger waiting to record whichever choice you make. Behind a locked cabinet are documents labeled Preserve, the archive's small fortress against loss. Candles are critical. You log the shortage and ration the remaining light for essential work. You catalog items for barter and protection, assigning priorities in the ledger's margins. The supply list is a tally of scarcity, crosses where essentials have vanished. A request for sensitive maps forces you to consult your trust diagram before granting access. You serve as scribe at the council, documenting ration rules that will shape daily life for dozens of households. The annotated map becomes a tactical tool, routes, hubs, and communication vacuums mapped for survival. You face a moral crossroads, record a hidden cache for transparency, or keep it secret to protect it. With radios down, you rely on runners, each message tracked in the ledger like a fragile promise. Marginal notes reveal the ledger's other life, a place where ethics are argued in shorthand. You update barter values daily, the ledger providing the precedent people demand. Holding the ledger, you feel the burden of being memory when so much risked being forgotten. The wavering flame traces the ledger's entries, small beacons against a spreading dark. Neighbors press you to confirm a rumor. You cross-check archive records, aware your judgment shapes community belief. Stage 4, abyss of consensus. A rumor about preferential rations forces you to verify the facts and correct the record to preserve trust. Each verified stamp in the ledger is a small defense against the drift of misinformation. You use the ledger to fact-check claims at the council, trying to broker compromise from contested stories. Pins and strings map not just geography, but where trust has frayed and misinformation has spread. A trade dispute brings you to mediate with ledger history, precedent bending future expectations. Official bulletins contradict archive records. You document the inconsistency to keep the community informed. You record a fraught decision to withhold information, a choice that may protect some and isolate others. You craft a water access rule based on ledger logs, balancing fairness and survival for 20 households. Silence presses in. The ledger holds the weight of every ethical choice you've made on behalf of others. The supply list flags critical shortages, and margins fill with frantic attempts to find alternatives through barter. You present verified ledger data to counter misinformation, risking conflict to keep the community aligned on facts.
Look, I understand your hesitation.
Stage 5, Emergence from Shadow.
What if they aren't there anymore?
You log each allocation at the community distribution point, building transparent records that restore a measure of trust. The distribution logs chronicle the fragile stability established by organized sharing. You map secure routes and schedule runners, logging dispatches to stitch together fractured communication. You start recording the origin story, using the ledger's timeline to preserve memory for whatever comes next. Extinguishing the old stub and lighting a new candle marks a shift. Steadier light for a community trying to rebuild. You use historical ledger decisions to help finalize a code of conduct the community can live by. You seal away what matters most, the ledger resting on top as a testament to both collapse and the improvised systems that followed.